नमः। ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं हरि ओं तत्सत्। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Okay, today we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, the matter of the transcendental knowledge, verse number 39. So, verse Shraddhaval labate jnanam tatpara samayat samayatendriya jnanam labhava param param shantim achare nadi gacchati. So, Prabhupada translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. So, here Prabhupada is clearly mentioning that. What he mentions? A faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his enemy senses is eligible to such knowledge, achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. So, such knowledge in Krishna consciousness can be achieved by a faithful person. So, who has a faith? How can we How can our faith grow from initial interest to full conviction? So, faith is vital for the discharge of devotional service. We see in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions 9.3, he says, what he says?
अश्रद्धादानः
पुरुष धर्मस्य परंतपा अप्राप्यमाम निवर्तन्ते मृत्यु संसार वर्तमानि. So, those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the faith of birth and death in this material world. And Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport that without faith, we cannot attain Krishna. Faith, he says, is developed by associating with the devotees. Without such association, we cannot become fully faithful. Like when we see there are 3 degrees of faith, the lowest type gives only enough faith to bring us into the association of devotees, but is not based strongly enough on scriptural knowledge or belief in the truth of scriptures to keep us there. The second type is similar, like firmer. And although we may not be conversant in scripture, we believe in the truth taught there. A devotee with the highest type of faith has firm conviction as well as firm knowledge of scriptures. And as a aspiring devotees, we consider the question of faith. We often assume we already possess it. After all, we are faithfully prosecuting our sadhana, our regulated spiritual practices. But faith is a live issue. It is not something that one achieved remains vibrant without further thought. That is especially true for those of us who grew up in the environment of skepticism and were taught to challenge faith. Therefore, we should understand both that faith is and what our own faith is. Besides the three types of faith listed above, like what I discussed, the scriptures defines faith as initial shraddha and fixed nistha. Shraddha, according to Prabhupada, is shown by a person who is willing to wander into the temple and who is able to feel good about what is going on there. It all sounds like, no, it sounds like almost like a kind of favorable curiosity. That initial faith is enough to bring us into the association of devotees. Nistha means convincing that cannot be changed. Prabhupada writes that a devotee with such faith feels that if he can attain Krishna consciousness, all his desires will be fulfilled. There is nothing more important than the development of Krishna consciousness. A devotee with Nistha may not have attained the goal but is fixed on its importance and values. It's like, what dictionary defines about faith? Dictionary defines as unconquering belief in God, unquestioning, sorry, like unquestioning belief that does not require proof or evidence. Faith is trust in God, in which His actions and promises, right? This is a kind of faith required for a devotee. Although we can provide scriptural evidence to support our Krishna conscious conclusions about the nature of the soul, the nature of the God, transmigration, and so on, we have little empirical proof that any of it is true. Somehow or other, however, we have become willing to accept the authority of Guru and Scripture on faith, and we have molded our life's principles around their teachings. That's why he says that if we examine Srila Prabhupada's life and preaching, we can see how empowered he was, both in his own faith and in his ability to create faith in others. It is remarkable how he was able to convince the hedonistic youth of New York City to chant Hare Krishna and to accept the form of Krishna as the topmost expression of Godhead. After Prabhupada's first public kirtan, like East Village, other print, like other printed that headline said, "Save Earth Now." In the accompanying article, the reporter told a fanciful story about a group of theologians who had killed an old man in church. There was a subsequent press report that like God was now dead. Some people didn't believe it. Especially Prabhupada had a way of presenting the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is that made it attractive, and his life was true to his teachings. Like we wanted to be like him. Prabhupada would say Krishna consciousness is such a nice thing, and we would look at him and believe it to be true. I think it is important for us to realize like faith and knowledge should go together. That actively developing faith is not inferior to cultivating knowledge. That is, having faith is not opposed to being responsible, and it is not sentimental. Faith is a necessary part even of material life. On a morning walk, like Prabhupada says that Srila Prabhupada said, and not as like no one disciple asked, so knowledge is not necessary for faith, but faith is necessary for knowledge. Yes, then Prabhupada says that. Therefore, yes, therefore a devotee without any knowledge, he becomes a devotee. That faith, only faith. The devotee advances later on, they become automatically full of knowledge because they have strong faith. Then immediately disciples ask Prabhupada that, okay, blind faith is the belief that, and Prabhupada says that, blind faith that I have already, like, Prabhupada says that, Prabhupada have explained many times. Why do you forget? And he shows, like, Prabhupada comes this way. So I have no faith. Why shall I go? If I have no faith, then I have to stop there, like here, and my movement is finished. Prabhupada is telling that you have to keep faith blindly. The man is giving direction. If he is perfect, your faith will make you advanced. You advanced. But if you go to a rascal cheater, Prabhupada was telling this. I'm just like, made this statement to make you all to understand. So you have to keep faith blindly, that if you have blind faith, then you are lost. Okay. The child has no knowledge, but he has faith in his parents and he believes what his parents say. Then he is making progress. Just like you go to a barber shop, Prabhupada is mentioning that just like when you go to a barber shop and you put your neck like this and he is with a razor. So then definitely you should have faith in the barber. Otherwise, he may cut any moment your neck. So I do remember this example. They used this example in one place. In modern age also, people started using, uh, I mean, they have demonstrated in a different direction to show his power to enemy. But here Prabhupada is telling how, like, oh, so unless you have faith, no, he is a good man, he will not cut my throat. How can you do so? Faith is the beginning. If you say, no, I have no faith in you, then you cannot be cleansed. Right? So I'll give you one more example. Prabhupada was mentioning. It's a very best example. Just like roaring of a lion drives away the big elephants from the forest. Whenever there is a roaring of a lion, even a big animals like elephants, they go away. Similarly, this vibration of transcendental sound will cleanse the elephants of darkness in the mind. We have accumulated darkness in our mind after many, many births, and that is a huge garbage. But these transcendental sound is just like a roaring of lion, and it will clear all the garbage accumulated. Papa says like no. That's why this faithful man who is absorbed in transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. Now Lord Krishna says, the faithful, those who are faithful, they can acquire transcendental knowledge. This subject matter we have discussed in a different classes, every classes, right? And in a different area also, we sometimes we discuss about faith, how to that without faith we cannot make any progress. In any field of activities, we must have faith. For example, just like we go to our barber shop, I just mentioned, right? So this faith is required in every activity. Without faith, we cannot step forward even in our daily life. So we have got so faith in our ordinary dealings. Don't you think that we must have very good faith when we are making progress in spiritual life? But faith should not be blind. Blind faith is useless. What Prabhupada says. Now we have, like, we go to the spiritual master with surrender and question and service. Three things. Surrender, and we question him, and we serve him. First of all, for acquiring knowledge, we have to find out the suitable personality. And if we are fortunate enough to find out such suitable personality, then first thing is to surrender. And that after that surrender, there are questions. One must be very intelligent to put questions to the spiritual master. Without questions, you cannot make any progress. So blind faith is never required. Neither questions should be in a mood of challenge. That should not. Questions or answers should be just to understand, and that should be accompanied with service. This is the mood. Whole Vedic process, nobody can deny in the Vedic process that there is no need of spiritual master. There is so Shraddhavan. Therefore, the faithful can acquire knowledge. And Tatpara. Tatpara means to have to follow the faith favorably, not unfavorably. Just like the physician gives us some prescription and he says that you do this and do not do. So we have to follow the do nots and do's in every field of action. There are certain don'ts and certain do's. So we have to follow. Tatpara samyatendriyaha. And result of knowledge is that Krishna is telling that result of my knowledge is that one should be restrained in that matter of sense gratification. You cannot become progressive. In spiritual life, if we indulge in unrestricted sense gratification, because sense gratification is the cause of our bondage in this material world. And the whole treatment progressive in spiritual life is regulated. Of course, we have got senses, and the senses are require some satisfaction. That is all right. There is no question of stopping the senses. It is not possible. If you want to stop the work of the senses, that is not possible. Simply, we have to purify the senses. So that's what faith begins with the tongue, with chanting and taking prasadam. Faith does not begin with the mind, as most people may think that. So, one who is suffering from jaundice, Prabhupada has given this, jaundice example in many places. If you give something sweet, sugar candy, he will taste it bitter. Although sugar candy is not bitter, but due to his illness, due to his jaundice disease, then the person will experience it is a bitter. So we can make a practical test of it when we have fever and all. So when we eat something, it still you feel bitter. If you simply give him sugar candy, you just moisten sugar candy at night, and just early in the morning you get a glass of sweet sugar candy water. Within very short time, you'll be cured from jaundice disease. That's what proper, like, this wonderful medicine. People suffer when they get jaundice. He's saying that if you give him a water of sugar candy and moisten sugar candy at night and just early in the morning, you get a glass of sweet sugar candy water. Within very short time, you'll be cured from the jaundice disease. So this similarly, this restriction do not, like, when we make spiritual life progressive, there are certain restriction, and they may seem at the present stage very bitter while you practicing devotion, but that is the way we have to accept. Therefore, it is called samyatendriyaha. And if we can make progress in that way, restrained sense gratification and following the rules and regulation, then we are sure to acquire knowledge. Labdhava jnanam param shantim. And when we are situated in the perfectional stage of knowledge, then we get param shanti, perfect peacefulness of mind, param shanti, adhigachati. Now, these are the prescription laid down by Krishna, Lord Krishna. So, we must have faith in Krishna. Krishna is not ordinary man like me. I'm speaking not from my own account. Okay, I'm speaking on account of Krishna. Krishna is accepted as the supreme authority by great scholars, great philosophers, religionists, and if you have any respect for Indian scriptural culture, you may know it that in India, whatever sect they may be, there are many sects, but everyone, each and everyone, all sects, including the any religion, they have got great respect for Krishna. So Krishna is a great authority, undoubtedly. That is accepted. So here Krishna gives us a prescription, and if we try to follow, then surely we will achieve the stage of perfect knowledge. And the result will be that we will be perfectly peaceful in life. That's what Krishna says, Bhaktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So that is the faith is very essential, and one who hasn't got such faith, for him it is stated like in Bhagavad Gita it says that Vinashyati means he is put into the wilderness of this material world. Now, what is that wilderness? There are 84 lakh species, different species of life. Now, if you miss this opportunity, this human form of life, it is developed conscious of life, and if we miss the opportunity, then we shall be again thrown into the cycle of birth and death in that 84 lakhs of species of life. So there is comparative. Vinashyate means where you shall be put up. Oh, there is no certainty. So you must keep proper utilization. The one who hasn't got faith, for him it is stated, Nayam lokosti na paro na sutam samshayatmanaha. Anyone who has no faith, for him there is no profit even during this life. And what to speak of the next life? That's why yoga sannyasasta karmanam jnana chiన్న సమస్యం ఆత్మావంతం నా కర్మాని నిబద్ధంతి ధనంజయ. He says that one who has renounced the fruits of his action, whose doubts are destroyed by transcendental knowledge, and who is situated firmly in the self, is not bound by works or conqueror of riches. So That's why we should have a faith and we should know who has faith in Krishna, we should surrender to him. That's why whom to surrender? That vidya pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. Who knows about Krishna? Who knows about Krishna in three aspects? Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realizer so can impart knowledge unto you because of he has seen the truth, right? So unfortunate people, even after hearing all the evidence of Vedic literature from great personalities, still have no faith in God. They are hesitant and cannot stay fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. Thus, faith is a most important factor for progress in Krishna consciousness. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that the faith is the complete conviction that simply by serving the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, one can achieve all perfection that is called real faith. Bhagavatam says that. In Bhagavatam, it mentioned in fourth canto, Yata taror moola nishchanena trapyanti tak skanda bhujopakshetaha bhujopakshataha प्राणोपचा रच च यतेन्द्रियाणां तथैव श्रद्धावधानम् achyutesya. So by giving water the root of tree, one satisfies its branches, twigs and leaves. And by supplying food to the stomach, one satisfies all the senses and of the body. Similarly, by engaging the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, one automatically satisfies all the demigods and all other living entities. Therefore, after reading Bhagavad Gita, one should promptly come to the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. One should give up all other engagements and adopt the service of the Supreme Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. If one is convinced of this philosophy of life, that is faith. So, the development of faith is the process of Krishna consciousness. There are three divisions of consciousness of men. In the third class, we discussed earlier also those who have no faith, even if they are officially engaged in devotional service, they cannot achieve the highest perfectional stage. Most probably, they will slip after some time. Okay? They may become engaged, but because they haven't complete conviction and faith, it is very difficult for them to continue in Krishna consciousness. We have practical experience in discharging our missionary activity that some people come and apply themselves to Krishna consciousness with some hidden motive. And as soon as they're economically a little well situated, they give up this process and take to their old ways again. It is only by faith that one can advance in Krishna consciousness. As far as the development of faith is concerned, one who is well versed in the literature of devotional service and has attained the stage of firm faith is called first class person in Krishna consciousness. And the second class are those who are not very advanced in understanding the devotional scriptures, but who automatically have firm faith that bhakti, a service to Krishna, is the best course, and so in good faith have taken it up. Thus, they are superior to the third class, who have neither perfect knowledge of the scriptures nor good faith, but by association and simplicity are trying to follow. The third class person in Krishna consciousness may fall down, but when one is in the second class, he does not fall down. And for the first class person in Krishna consciousness, there is no chance of falling down. In Krishna consciousness is concerned, although he has a faith in the conviction that devotional service to Krishna is very good, he has not yet gained adequate knowledge of Krishna through the scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes the third class persons in Krishna consciousness have some tendency toward karma yoga and jnana yoga, and sometimes they are disturbed. But as soon as the infection of karma yoga or jnana yoga is vanished, they become second class or first class person in Krishna consciousness. Faith in Krishna is also divided into three stages. Okay. And described in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 11th canto, those who have no faith, even after hearing about Krishna and the excellency of devotional service, who thinks that it is simply theology, find the path very difficult, even if they are supposedly engaged in devotional service. For them, there is very little hope of gaining perfection. The faith is very important in the discharge of devotional service. So that's why Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, especially everything, all activities are grouped under three headings. Like one is karma, fruitive activities, the people are working to get some desired results for sense gratification. That is generally even is working to get some money, and money means to satisfy our senses, my demands of the senses. That is called karma. Then out of many millions of such karmis or workers, one is jnani, or a man in knowledge. When a man comes into the platform of knowledge, when he becomes frustrated by working hard and tasting all results of karma, when one is not satisfied, then he comes to the platform of knowledge. Knowledge means inquiry. Inquiry, what I am, why I am frustrated, why I am confused, what is my position, what is the platform of knowledge. So, out of many thousands of such persons who have attained knowledge, actually, we have understood what is the position of these living entities. You know, Brahma Bhuta, they are called liberated. And out of many thousands of such liberated persons, one can understand what is Krishna. This is the position. So, understand this fact that simply by engaging oneself into the activities of Krishna consciousness, everything is completely done. This is called faith. Faith, strong faith, unflinching faith. That is the last instruction which Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. I am here. Krishna is telling that. You give up all other engagements, simply surrender unto him. That is knowledge. So, one who has attained this knowledge, now this is the beginning. This is the stepping stone in Krishna consciousness. That simply one who firmly convinced that simply by executing the duties in Krishna consciousness, may all other functions will be nicely done. So one has to understand it is not to be accepted blindly, it is not forced upon anybody. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita is there. Try to understand scrutinizingly with all your arguments, and you will find it is sublime. It is definitely a faithful man who is observed in transcendental knowledge. This is the transcendental knowledge that simply by discharging duties given by Krishna in Krishna consciousness, all other duties will be performed. Means I will be perfect in fruitive activities. I will be perfect in knowledge. I will be perfect in mystic advancement. And I will be perfect to understand the absolute truth. This is called firm, unflinching faith. So faith means like Prabhupada also mentioned many places like faith means not blind faith. Bhagavad Gita is not blind faith. Everything is being explained step by step, scientifically, like authoritatively. Try to understand. And if you fortunately become faithful, then your life is successful. Then once one of disciples, Prabhupada disciples asked Prabhupada, this faith is attained by the discharge of devotional service. And by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama, Hare Hare, which cleanses one's heart of all material dirt. Over and above this, one should control the senses. A person who is faithful and controls the senses can easily attain perfection in the knowledge of Krishna consciousness without delay. Prabhupada says controlling of senses means that is also knowledge. Obviously, because controlling senses, you have that knowledge. Senses are being misled you, and you are trying to satisfy your senses. So this is not my job, satisfying my senses. And that is also knowledge when you are able to realize. That's what, because this materialistic life means sense gratification. When we understand this is not meant for this life, then that is called knowledge. So we have, the Prabhupada is saying that we have satisfied our senses not only in this human form of life, but in other forms of life too. So when one comes to the understanding that these sense gratification activities are useless, then he can understand. When one understands that, I have tried satisfy myself in different kinds of sense gratification. So just like we are trying the same thing which have got at home, just like Prabhupada is mentioning, like no, some crazy people, like woman is naked woman, they are still going to the theater to see naked dance. Yeah, striptease. You see, what is that? They have no idea. The same thing, punas chervita chervinanam. Like in West, striptease clubs are very famous. That's why Prahlad Maharaj says that because of uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress toward hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations toward Krishna are never aroused, either by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both. Chewing the chew, trying to find out in which naked dance there is pleasure. That is all. That's also when one comes to the knowledge that I have seen like different. We have seen. I mean, I have seen, especially I have a good example, like practical examples I have seen in UK, London. Here also, like I'm in a place now. It is called Simhadesh, Singapore, and they don't wear proper clothes here also. Half naked. Like what I have got, I don't, I have not gained anything by having their darshan. At least if I see devotee, then immediately I remember, like, Krishna. Oh, so we all are experiencing that. What satisfaction is there? We are not satisfied, right? That seeing that. What is the knowledge? That is the knowledge. When we think that, seeing that, it was nonsense. So we are not satisfied that. That is called knowledge. Just like Bilamangal Thakur, he heard the story. We all heard, right? Bilamangal Thakur. There are many stories. So he was very much fond of his girlfriend, prostitute. So so one night, when he approached there within torrents of rain and with great difficulties, the woman was sympathetic. She said, Bilamangal, you are so much attracted with this flesh and bone. Oh, if you had been so much attracted to Krishna, how you would have been? Immediately he turned. Yes, he immediately went back and went to Vrindavan. So these are the points of knowledge. You see, when one is struck with the knowledge that what I have gained, I have tried life after life, hours after hours, day after days after days, this sense gratification, what I have got, this is the knowledge. One has to understand. So the transcendental activities of Lord were discussed of the Supreme Lord Himself. One who does not understand the instructions of the Gita, faithless and is considered to be misusing the fragmental independence awarded to him by the Lord. In spite of such instructions, one who does not understand the real nature of the Lord as the eternal, blissful, all knowing personality of Godhead is certainly fool number one. That's what we have to make a statement that this is ignorance of so-called student of Bhagavad Gita can be removed by the gradual acceptance of the principles of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is a awakened by different types of sacrifices to the demigods, sacrifice to Brahman, sacrifice in celibacy, sacrifice in household life, sacrifice in controlling of the senses, sacrifice in practicing mystic yoga, sacrifice in penance, sacrifice of material possessions, sacrifice in studying the Vedas, and sacrifice in observing the scientific and social institution called Varnashrama Dharma or the divisions of the human society. All these are known as sacrifice, but all of them are based on regulative action or regulated action. And within all these sacrifices, the important factor is self-realization. One who seeks the objective is the real student of the Bhagavad Gita. So that's why Shraddhavan Kapate Jnanam Tatpara Samayathendriya Jnanam Labdhava Param Shantim Acharendra Gacchati. So, such knowledge in Krishna consciousness can be achieved by the faithful person who believes firmly in Krishna. One is called faithful man who thinks that simply by acting in Krishna consciousness, he can attain the highest perfection. The faith is attained by the discharge of devotional service by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, which cleanses one's heart of all material dirt. Over and above this, one should control the senses. A person who is faithful to Krishna and who controls the senses can easily attain the perfection in the knowledge of Krishna consciousness without delay. So that we have to overcome. The difficulty for aspiring devotees is that so much of the depths of spiritual life is beyond any material experience. Okay. We may have, and usually beyond our spiritual experience, what else can we do? But accept the truths on faith, our lack of faith, however, tends to stem from our lack of experience. For example, we may be willing to say that we have faith in the scriptures, But we have same time, we may think that scriptural statements describe extremely ideal conditions. We will never attain. That shows a lack of faith in ourselves. And in these scriptural statements that declare that we can attain such states. So we may also have lack of faith in the power of the institution to elevate us, or some other lack of faith. Our faith can usually be measured. It is not unlimited. That measurement becomes most obvious to us whenever our faith is tested in some way. Then we can take personal inventory. So so that's why we have to deal with our doubts and cultivating knowledge, we can resolve all the doubts. Okay. And we can, um, while cultivating knowledge, by cultivating knowledge, we can enthusiasm our faith. Okay. So faith thrives in an environment of enthusiasm. Without enthusiasm, we feel dull. Our shame of devotion is low. Faith is not simply a belief in God. It is an active interest to hear about Him. A pure devotee will want to hear about and serve Krishna endlessly. The more enthusiasm our faith has, the stronger it will become. We are not interested only in normal life, normal belief. As if our faith were a personal opinion with little relevance to our lives. We want burning conviction. Therefore, our enthusiasm has to be based on love and not on the result we receive from our service. If we serve and ostensibly fall in some way, our enthusiasm should not be dampened. To build enthusiasm, we should associate with a devotees who are enthusiastic. We must consciously place ourselves in situations that vitalize our Krishna consciousness. Faith shouldn't be something we once had. We accept Krishna consciousness but haven't touched since. We need to go to its core. Again, we can turn to Prabhupada as an example. We such a fighter that when we went out to spread Krishna consciousness but met only resistance, he became more Krishna conscious and more determined. His success or failure never dampened his faith. Okay. He lived always in the reciprocation he received from Krishna. Whatever that reciprocation was, we can learn to do the same. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Any questions? Any comments or feedback?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam.
Dandavat.
Prabhuji, in your class you said today that only first class devotees don't fall down, and second class devotees may fall down. Prabhuji, I have a small doubt. Can you Bharat Maharaj and Vishwamitra Rishi, in which category did they come, Prabhuji? Were they first class devotees or second? Because both of them fell somewhere.
See, that's a good
And
question.
they,
See, it's a good question, but why to compare? They are not ordinary people. They are realized people. That actually comes under a different category. If we are not attentive, so then if you have any attachment towards something, then that is example in that section. So they are actually exemplary personalities. I am not qualified to say they are in which category. Sorry to say that. That can I can I can say that much. I hope it's clear to you, Mataji.
Okay, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Thank
Yes. Hare Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Dhanyavad.
Yes, Prabhu, it was nice. All the examples were very vivid and clear. Yes, thank you.
So I hope you are getting a lot of disturbance, right?
No disturbance. It's all very clear.
Yeah.
It's very clear.
Because I'm sitting outside. Um, so we are still in Singapore. So we are coming back on 24th.
Okay, Prabhu. So there's no noise. Absolutely, it's fine.
Okay, right. Because a lot of construction work is going on around here.
I see. I see.